Coming up on Now See This.
Look at the funnel!
In the sport of kings, a jockey gets dethroned. And then he gets crowned. A drugged-up female driver,
She's got a child in her lap.
loses her shot at Mother of the Year.
This is just heartbreaking.
And a couple of big wave riders in Hawaii say aloha to 35 feet of liquid thunder.
I just thought, oh my God.
There's so much drama and disaster. It'll make you squeal. Think you've seen it all? Now see this.
Oh, wow.
Nothing embodies the sheer power and magnificence of nature like a tornado touching down to earth. And Jim Reed is about to capture one like never before.
Right now we've got a landspout or a tornado just to our east. It's about
I've been shooting severe weather for about 10 years, and I love it. This was one of the most exciting chases I'd ever had, and also one of the most satisfying.
A landspout, a junior version of a tornado, has formed just outside Pretty Prairie, Kansas. Jim and his assistant Katie Bay are the only storm chasers on the scene.
It excited me. I've never been so close to a tornado, and it was only my third one.
As the funnel crosses a wheat field, its debris cloud breaks up. Jim and Katie stop to get their bearings.
I can't see it.
It's because it doesn't have any debris with it.
The tornado becomes almost transparent without its funnel full of dust, but it still spins as violently as ever.
We paid as close attention to the behavior of the tornado as possible, but as you can imagine, that's unpredictable.
Holy cow.
And that's when the chasers look straight above them.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This thing is like right over us.
I was just concentrating on the tornado on the ground. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have seen the funnel in the sky.
Although the base of the tornado is a good distance away, the top of the swirling vortex looms directly overhead.
Is it still rotating on the ground?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Jim's expertise tells him the wind is about to drive the landspout across an unplanted field. A great photo opportunity.
It's getting ready to cross over that dirt field. Let's go over there and get in front of it. I mean, not in front of us, you know what I mean?
They race ahead to a new vantage point, camera ready for the tornado to hit another patch of dirt. They're not disappointed.
But, oh, we got a funnel.
Where?
Over near the road.
Oh my God! Ah, this is so cool!
From the clouds above, the top of the tornado extends downward, materializing like the very finger of God. Katie steps back to get the whole picture.
Tornado warning for Reno Kingman.
It's the moment a storm chaser lives for. But Katie's awe is tempered with a healthy dose of rookie jitters.
Jim?
Okay, I'm calling it in.
Okay, but we're kind of like in a bad spot.
The veteran sees no reason to worry.
I wanted us to get as close to the tornado as we could with minimal risks.
As the debris cloud breaks up yet again, Jim anticipates the tornado's next move.
Let's get back in, Katie. I want to follow it.
Okay.
It looks like we're going to be joining law enforcement.
Nearby, a police cruiser on a dirt road has been keeping people away.
We're going to get closer.
Jim gives them an update.
It's not a tornado, it's a landspout. So you can get a little bit closer. Just be very careful. Contact with the ground.
The funnel remains invisible, a phantom waiting to rear its ugly head.
It's got some dirt.
But Jim has learned to judge a tornado not just by what he sees, but by what he hears.
Moving off to the
It sounded like a medium-sized waterfall. It sounded like rushing water.
Are you rolling?
That concerned me because a tornado that's moving away from you should be harder to hear.
We were kind of close, so we also found ourselves finding some debris flying around us.
For the first time today, Jim is uneasy. All his experience tells him the tornado should be going the other way. But all of their surroundings tell him he's directly in front of the beast.
It changed its track completely and started going back west. Unfortunately, Jim and I were right in its path.
I personally had never seen a tornado make a complete U-turn before.
We got flying, we're going to back up. We're going to back up.
We're a little too close.
Yep.
As Jim and Katie jam their truck into reverse, the rain at the edge of the storm overtakes them.
Be careful.
Oh, it's changing direction, damn it.
Is it coming
Keep rolling,
towards us?
keep rolling, keep rolling.
I threw the Explorer into reverse and basically drove us as quickly in reverse as I could.
They're barely clear when the tornado appears like a demon rising out of the dust.
Look at that.
Oh my God.
The whirlwind plows toward the dirt road right where they had been, revealing its mighty presence to the entire countryside. This is no longer a junior version of anything. This is a full-fledged twister tearing up the Kansas prairie.
I don't get excited too easily. This day was one of those rare exceptions where I did. Oh my God. Oh, this is too great.
Oh my God, look at the funnel. This is incredible. We're back in
The magnificence of the sight overwhelms them both. Even as the police cruiser scrambles backwards for safety, the storm chasers can't help but marvel at the twister's beauty.
Look at this baby. Look at this.
Let's do it.
As the funnel heads off-road, it starts to break up again, and this time for good.
Broken out. That was a close call, folks.
It was a completely new experience for me. I seriously doubt I'll ever see another one like the one I saw. Look at this.
But even if Katie can now wax poetic, Jim realizes he just got a powerful reminder about the fickle and dangerous forces of nature.
I felt like it was allowing us to get close to it, but when we got perhaps a little too close, it decided to remind us who's in charge.
The woman behind the wheel is more than a mad mom in a minivan. She just committed a hit and run, and now the California Highway Patrol is hot on her tail.
Police units have been chasing this woman for miles. She will not stop.
From high in the air, it looks like just another pursuit. But when news cameras zoom in, the lens captures a sight that chills the blood of cops and TV viewers alike. She's got her 2-year-old son on her lap, and she's clocking 75 miles an hour.
That child doesn't look older than 2. I can't believe this.
To make matters even worse, the woman is high on PCP, and the kid isn't strapped in.
The woman seems to have a seatbelt on, but not the child. I don't know why she would do that.
The drugs have her acting invincible as she blows through red lights and then winds her way up onto the freeway.
Okay, it looks like we're going to be getting back on the freeway there, the 210 freeway.
It's rush hour and things could get hairy.
About 5 p.m. If the traffic gets any thicker, this could get very dangerous.
Cops with children of their own are sick at the thought of this woman putting her toddler in the thick of a high-speed chase. They want her off the road, but they will not do anything to endanger the child.
To be honest, I have never seen anything like this before. And she's exited the freeway. Up ahead, there's a white car. It's moving out of the way. She's going to be dealing with a lot of traffic now. And she's squeezing between those cars, and she is scraping those cars. Unreal.
But the tight squeeze seems to change her mind about running.
No, she has definitely slowed down, and there's a business park on her right.
She hangs a right into a parking lot, slows to a crawl, and stops her car dead.
All right, the woman has stopped her vehicle. This could be coming to an end.
It's a white-knuckle standoff, and police aren't taking any chances. If a mother would put her own child in harm's way, who knows what she'll do next?
She is not coming out. She is not responding to police.
Cops yell at the woman to toss her keys out of the window and release the child. She obeys the first order but ignores the second. It's an ugly situation. In her angel dust haze, police believe the mother may actually think she's protecting her child. But if officers move in, she could snap and use the child as a human shield.
This is a very tense moment here. All the officers have their guns drawn.
As she slowly exits with the child on her hip, police call to her again to release the toddler. It's her last chance to comply. That's when maternal instincts win out over narcotics.
She has put the baby down, but she's holding his hand, and the baby, he's walking towards the police. He's running towards the police. They have their guns drawn. That officer is putting his gun away.
The little boy is crying and confused. An officer quickly snaps him up and tucks him safely in a squad car. The last thing this kid needs to see today is his own mother cuffed and taken into custody.
That poor kid. This is just heartbreaking.
They are required to protect and serve, and today they did both by catching a dangerous felony suspect and saving her child. Surfing these waves is pure suicide. A storm off Hawaii's North Shore is kicking up record swells, some as high as 60 feet. Lifeguards call it condition black, meaning these waves are totally off limits to everyone. But two surfing pros won't let this big mama pass them by. Jet skier Tony Ray and surfer Ross Clark Jones take their 20-plus years of experience and hit one of the most dangerous surf spots in the world, known as Jaws. Tony tows Ross into massive face after massive face, cutting him loose and watching him outrun the waves all morning long. But come noon, brake patterns quickly shift, catching Ross and Tony off guard. When they drop into this 35-footer, it's moving so fast, the mountain of water chases them down, then swallows them up. The camera searches the cauldron of white water for signs of life, but Tony and Ross are nowhere to be seen. They're underwater holding their breath, praying the wave will pass.
And I pop up my head, I turn around and just see this purple seat, which is the seat of our jet ski. And then I knew that Tony had been mowed down.
Surfing wipeouts are nothing new to Ross, but what's amazing is that Tony and his hefty 120 horsepower jet ski couldn't outrun the surf.
I kept looking at this wave and I realized that it was getting closer. I just thought, oh my God, this thing, I think it's going to get me.
The avalanche of water that smothered Tony and Ross weighed as much as a wall of bricks. Diving underwater saved them. When the breakers clear, the two swim up and tread water until a fellow jet skier arrives and hauls them into shore. The raw footage is frightening, but it doesn't do justice to just how big that wave was.
Some of the biggest waves like that.
Yeah.
Both of them have returned to the beach since this day. They still surf the big waves of Jaws. They just pray there isn't a sequel. An accident outside Middleton, California has turned one man's quiet morning drive into a nightmarish struggle for his life. A flatbed skidded off this country road and came to rest 30 feet down an embankment. When rescuers arrive, they find the truck driver is okay, but that's when they realize there's a more serious wreck a few feet below the crippled flatbed. The truck has taken a car with it, nearly crushing it flat before knocking it into a creek. And the driver, Samuel Bass, is still trapped inside, waist deep in the icy water. With the cable tenuously holding the truck in place, rescue crews race against time to free Sam from his mangled car. He's still alive, but his injuries make the rescue a delicate situation.
They didn't even know how I was alive or how I could even fit in the car. My right femur had a compound fracture and the bone was actually sticking out of my leg, and the left femur was just a clean break.
His severe loss of blood threatens to make Sam lose consciousness, and the chilly water could cause hypothermia. As Sam shivers on the edge of shock, rescuers talk to him to keep him awake.
I was still talking to him, and I didn't even know I was, so I guess my subconscious was still there.
As the jaws of life cut away the twisted metal, Sam's conversation with the rescuers gives them a picture of a man with a full life still ahead of him.
I'm currently going to Santa Rosa Junior College. From there I want to study physics and biochemistry and get a PhD after my 4-year college.
It seems too promising a path for it to end here, but each passing second makes it less likely that Sam will have a full recovery. Finally, rescuers cut away the last layer of metal, keeping them from reaching Sam. But when they start to pull him free, it's a mixed blessing.
They told me it was going to hurt.
The slightest movement sends jolts of pain throughout Sam's body. If he wasn't fully awake before, he is now.
It was one of the most painful experiences I've ever felt. Them pulling me out of the car, my bones moving around on their own. And that was just, that made me feel sick to my stomach.
The rescuers hate to cause him any more pain, but the rest of Sam's life depends on him getting free right now. They work his shattered legs loose from the twisted steering wheel. With his bone jutting out, every inch of his extraction is torture. Sam is put on a stretcher and rushed to the hospital. And then the real work begins.
I had to get titanium rods put into my femurs. My right femur was so extensively damaged, they weren't sure if it was even going to heal at first. And it took 8 months to really start growing back.
Incredibly, despite extensive damage to his legs and knees, Sam was back to work within a year. Once again, earning money to pay his way through college. Combining a full-time job with school may be a long and difficult path to achieving his goals. But as Sam returns to the scene of this awful accident, he knows it's an option he's grateful to still have.
I remember thinking if I had driven a little bit faster or driven a little bit slower, I wouldn't have been in an accident. Things can happen in an instant. Even though I'd gotten hurt so bad, I still felt thankful.
In Russia, life in the city often resembles the Wild West, where street justice is swift and brutal. In plain sight, a man gets shot. On the surface, it looks like an open and shut case. But the real story behind this gun-wielding thug is much more complex. It's an illicit deal gone bad. The man in the black hat is a black market money changer, exchanging dollars for rubles. And he's been ripped off. Now he wants his money back. Watch again as he confronts the woman in the car, weapon in hand. But when a cohort jumps to her aid, things get physical. In the struggle, the gun fires accidentally. At close range, a shotgun shell should have torn the man's leg off. But it's only a flesh wound. Why? Because the gun is just a prop, loaded with blanks. He only wanted to scare the people who double-cross him into returning the money. The shooter knows he's in trouble and should just disappear into a crowd. But when he sees that no one else seems to even notice the victim's plight, the gunman does something unexpected. He goes for help and hails a passing cop. He tells the police his story. The deal gone wrong, the accidental shooting, everything. But as the saga unfolds, they realize that while he may have the demeanor of a fraud victim, he's actually a vigilante profiteer who thinks his actions were justified. It's bizarre because the whole time, the real victim is pleading for an ambulance and bleeding onto the streets. Police wonder if the gunman is drunk. After all, how can he expect their help collecting a debt while his victim's on the verge of collapse? Finally, the ambulance arrives to tend to the man's wounds. The police have heard enough and haul the shooter away. He may have done a good deed by calling for help, but it wouldn't have been necessary if he hadn't taken the law into his own clumsy hands. Panama City, Panama. The sport of kings is underway. These are thoroughbreds, fast and unpredictable, and sometimes so are the jockeys. One rider takes his horse from the outside to the rail, a move that will come at a cost, and another jockey is the one who pays.
The other jockey crossed my lane and unintentionally tripped my horse, and we completely lost our balance.
But this determined veteran, Henry Zapata, is not prepared to give up. With remarkable strength from years of conditioning, he hangs on, and on, and on, knowing that if he lets go, he will be trampled. Unfortunately, the horse bred for racing refuses to slow down.
I wasn't able to stop my horse because at that point of the race, we were entering the home stretch, and no horse ever stops there.
His arms are cramping and his body fatigued, but Harry Zapata persistently hangs on until the home stretch. Finally, the horse slows enough so it's safe to drop. He's lucky to get away with only a few scrapes and bruises. But 2 years later, his luck will run out. Racing down the home stretch, Harry Zapata is in position to pass the leader. His persistent personality urges him to push past and win. But something goes terribly wrong. The lead jockey decides not to let him pass and cuts the horse and rider off. Harry tries to pull up, but it's too late.
At the moment I was going to pass, he came up very aggressively. He came in from the left of me very fast and caused my horse to fall.
From another angle, you can see how far the leader comes to cut off Harry's surge to the finish. The following jockey lands on top of the crumpled body to add insult to injury. The thoroughbred survives, but Harry Zapata breaks his back and is now paralyzed from the waist down. His dreams are shattered, but he's not bitter.
I don't feel any resentment toward anybody.
One jockey, two mishaps. One ends well, and the other ends his career. But Harry manages to stay positive with the help of a devoted wife and his brothers, who provide support when he needs it. He's still persistent, staying connected to the sport he loves, even landing a position at the racetrack as a ticket taker. His job may have changed, but his love for horse racing never will. It's a battle in a sleepy Chicago suburb. An angry Romanian and a pot-bellied pig go toe-to-toe at 3 in the morning. After sundown, this domesticated pet escaped his owner and hit the streets, waking neighbors with its strange grunting.
I really wish we could help this guy.
Police and bystanders stand back as the hog-chasing homeowner takes charge and tries charming the little guy into submission.
Oh, look at how sweet. You don't look so mean. No.
The pig seems to buy the flattery, but when an onlooker gets too close, the Romanian fumes.
No coming, no coming, no coming.
No, don't come there.
Go here.
Go away.
You come in here, this is your father.
Sensing something isn't kosher, the pig slowly backs away. But the bitter man isn't going to let him off that easily.
He spoke his mouth.
Swiping the swine, he yanks the pig up by its hind legs and hopes cops can hog tie him.
It's gonna slip right off. We got it. We got you, big boy. We got you.
It's a solution, but not a permanent one.
Come on this way. Do you have a license for that thing, officer? Come here. Get away from me.
The pig wiggles himself free and bails the scene. As far as the raging Romanian is concerned, now it's war. He grabs him again But a female cop who promised to help him gets spooked. The Romanian is boiling mad, screaming obscenities. But he's not letting go.
Oh, what a way to go.
Everyone finds the situation funny. Except for Mr. Serious. He won't be happy until the beast is carted off for good. They bring in a snare, but quickly learn pork can be very greasy. As the pig runs away, his opponent finally concedes defeat. Animal control eventually catches the pig hours later, but the point is clear. No amateur could ever put this pig in a pen.